Welcome to another edition of INN CEO Talks. Joining me today is Gordon Tainton, the CEO and president of Azarga Metals, which trades on the TSX Venture under the symbol AZR. Azarga Metals is a mineral exploration and development company that is the sole owner of the Unkur copper-silver project in the Zabaikalsky administrative region of eastern Russia. Upon completion of the first phase of the physical exploration program from 2016 to 2018, the company estimated an inferred mineral resource of 62 million tons with 0.53% copper and 38.6 grams of silver per ton throughout the entire project. It's also interesting to note that the Unkur license area is situated close to the important rail line known as the BAM, which is one of Russia's trans-Siberian railways. And the area is also home to the world's third largest known copper deposit, known as the Yukon project. It's also home to the largest titanium deposit and the world's largest recorded vanadium deposit. Joining me now is Gordon Tainton, the president and CEO of Azarga Metals. Gordon, welcome. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Stuart.
Let's start by getting a little explanation about your company and how it is that you identified this project in eastern Russia.
Okay. Again, thanks for having me on. Appreciate the opportunity to chat with you today. The company purchased 60% of the Unkur project in March 2016, and at that time it had the right to acquire the remaining 40% for considerations in the future. By late July that year, the company was on site drilling, and by April 2017, the company released its maiden mineral resource estimate. Swinging into March, the company consolidated its position, and in March 2018, it acquired the remaining 40% of the Unkur project. At the same time, Azarga came out with an inferred initial resource, and in August, we released a PEA, a preliminary economic assessment. In 2019 and 2020, a second major phase of work at Unkur was conducted by Azarga, which consisted of a property-wide magnetic survey, as well as further drilling. We drilled 15 diamond holes, which both expanded and better defined the copper-silver mineralization through the western part of the property. In addition, new and more extensive metallurgical test work was completed on both oxide and sulfide from the most recent drilling. Then fast forwarding up to February this year, 2021, we appointed Wardell Armstrong to complete an updated PEA on the property. And earlier this month, we were able to release the outcomes to the market.
So what was that outcome of that work, of that PEA, most recent PEA?
The key outcomes are the following. The Base PEA Case proposes an average annual production of 11.7 thousand tons per annum of copper and 2.9 million ounces per annum of silver, both in concentrate, with a mine life of over 14 years. Second highlight, we have a 4-year open pit mining opportunity at 2.75 million tons per annum, followed by 10 years of underground mining at 2 million tons per annum. In the early 4-year period, we use a cyanide SART processing technology to work through the oxide material. And when we move underground, we move to conventional sulfide flotation. On the economic side of the PEA, using consensus pricing of US dollars 3.86 a pound copper and US dollars 25 per ounce silver, we come out with a post-tax net present value of US 205 million and an internal rate of return of 26.7%. What we also applied in the PEA were spot prices. And Wardell Armstrong used May 21st, 2021 spot prices, which were at that time US dollars 4.54 a pound copper and US dollars 28 an ounce silver. That pushed our post-tax NPV up to 380 million US, and the IRR correspondingly went up to 44.4%. Next highlight. Our post-tax NPVs on this updated PEA are between 39 to 158% higher than in previous PEA, the PEA outcomes prepared on Unkur in 2018. Substantial improvements include lower production capital, pre-production capital, higher average annual output, and a 75% longer mine life. As mentioned above, the PEA also considers an alternative open pit only case, i.e. 4 years mine life of oxide to mine and process the oxide material. If we use that as a standalone base case, our post-tax NPV comes up to 95 million and the IRR is 46.3% at consensus prices. If we apply the spot May 2021 price, the NPV pushes up to 162 million and the IRR goes up to 70.1%, 70.1%. Last couple of points on the PEA update is the following. Our inferred mineral resource has actually lowered from the original PEA. It's gone down to 51.1 million metric tons, but the copper and the silver values have gone up to 0.5% copper and 40 grams a ton silver. And the final point on the PEA is only that what we're looking for is to do some further resource additional drill work, and what we intend to do is the following. Based on last year's reconnaissance geochemical program, which confirmed the presence of extensive copper and silver mineralization at Unkur East, we firmly believe we've got a highly prospective drilling area. If we can drill it, and we intend to in this year, any additional mineralization defined on the Unkur East area would be highly complementary to our mine planning efforts across Unkur as expressed in the updated PEA.
Wow.
That's it.
Wow. Okay. That all sounds pretty promising. Investors, of course, are wanting to know, what are going to be your long-term plans? Do you, based on, this positive outcome, do you envision that you're going to build a mine site, or are you looking to vend in with a major?
I think our optionality on that question is wide open. I do believe that the opportunity to build and operate a mine is there for us. We've got above average infrastructure for such a remote location. There's available grid electricity along with both river and groundwater. Within the company, we have the senior management team with solid project experience in mine development and operations. Now, if we went to the build, we'd certainly have to augment and staff up on technical and operational personnel, as our projected annual out throughputs are quite large for both the open pit, 2.75 million tons per year, and the underground, which is 2 million tons a year. These are both significant amounts of volume, which would require several hundred people to be working there. On the other side of it, if we decide to look at a strategic alliance or a vendor alliance, this could also happen. We could tie ourselves to a major or a mid-sized industrial group. What I can share with you is that the company is currently in discussions with a few interested groups, primarily based in the Russian Federation.
So it's an interesting area that you're in. I understand the infrastructure and you're close to that. But what can you tell me about the regulatory environment in Russia when it comes to mining and what it's like to do business there?
Okay. In general, Stuart, it's pretty rigid. The ministries that we work with have their protocols, their guidelines that we must work within and follow. So, for example, we annually must present our work program outcomes, such as meters drilled, trench work, geophysics, to the regional branch office of Rosneft, which is the federal agency for mineral resources. Their regional branch in our region is in the city of Chita. We also work directly and in contact with GKZ, which is the Russian State Commission for Reserves, mining reserves. We basically get allocated the conditions for exploration under a work program, and then we present our reports to them. This year, we'll be presenting probably one or two cutoff grade estimates with the associated economics behind it. The outcome of this should give Azarga a resource approved by GKZ, which will then become a temporary condition. This condition gives Azarga the right to conduct further detailed exploration and, if you like, keep on moving forward on developing the project. It's kind of an evolutionary process leading up to what we would call in North America or in Europe a definitive or a bankable feasibility study. Mm-hmm. Once we have that, this gives us the right to apply for a mining permit. And working and doing business there, because we're in the Russian Federation and we've got cooperation from the surrounding COMCOM countries, recently, on our most recent drill program, we awarded the assay work to a Kazakhstan-based technical institute. And they did all of our assay work, which was really well done. And it came out to complement the PEA outcomes. The last thing that we've got for doing business there is right now the company has a valid exploration permit in place. So basically we can move into the east side of the concession at Unkur and start our drill program later this year.
So is this part of Russia, because it's new to me, is it mining rich, and is there the appropriate supply lines? I know that we talked about infrastructure, but is there appropriate supply lines, and how close are you to markets that are going to be wanting the copper and silver that you're going to be mining there?
Yeah, look, we run our administrative and our Russian corporate out of the regional center I mentioned in the previous question. The city's called Chita. It's about a 2-hour flight away. Unkur is located right next to the small town called Chera and a second small town called Novachera. Novachera is where the BAM line railway station is. So using that, we have a full access to use the rail line down through the bottom part of the region to the Mongolian and the Chinese border, and then directly into the Chinese northeastern markets, or smelters if you'd like. We could also use the BAM rail line and take it out east and go all the way out to Vladivostok, and then put it on ships and move our products to other Asian destinations, such as Japan and Korea. So that works very well in terms of logistics. Mm-hmm.
Well, your company looks like it's quite well poised, but do you have the financial resources that you need at the moment, or are you going to have to go back to the market?
We're definitely will be needing to further fund this project forward. For example, the CapEx estimate made by Waterloo Armstrong for the first 4-year open pit mine life is estimated to be about $150 million. So we'll need to go out and source those fund lines. Now, I think it'll be a combination of equity and debt. I don't want to put those in any order yet, but from my experience, the split most probably will be minority basis equity for dilution purposes, and the remaining amount would be in debt, if you like, the majority. We do know, and we're in touch with, project debt finance groups in Russia that are active in the mining sector. So those discussions have already begun. And to move the company forward, to get to where we've got an indicated and a measured mineral resource and finally a mineral reserve, so we can get a GKZ and we can really go forward with our operation, we still got a serious amount of geological, geotechnical, and exploration work to do, i.e. drilling. So we'll be coming to the market or to the investment community to see if they'd like to come along with us on this ride and continue to develop this project. We're excited about it, and we're excited about the opportunity that is presented at Unkur.
Wow. It's as though you anticipated my next question, because investors are watching this saying, okay, why invest now? And what's your message to them about this being the time for them to put their money behind you?
We've got a large, fairly unexplored license, which has very good mineralization. We are literally 30 kilometers from the world's third largest known copper deposit. We've already picked up very good grades, and there is, if you'd like, blue sky on the eastern side, we believe can come. Infrastructure-wise, we have access both to Far Eastern and the Chinese markets. So this is not although it's remote, this is not in an area which is going to present to us any significant hardships to deliver products to those end user markets.
Mm-hmm. So Gordon, I got a couple minutes left. I know that we're talking about Russia right now, but your company also has interest in North America. Are you in a position where you can tell us a little bit about what's happening in the Yukon?
Yeah, I can, but only on the basis of what has been released to the public market to date. Azarga has signed a term sheet with Golden Predator. It's another TSXV listed group. They have an asset in the central Yukon territory. It's known as MARG, M-A-R-G, and it's an unexplored VMS. We're currently going through a very rigorous due diligence process, legal matters, technical issues, and of course we're in discussions with the territorial government of the Yukon and the First Nations in that region of the central Yukon.
It wouldn't be unusual for somebody to say, okay, well, you're in Russia, all the way across the Pacific. Why the Yukon? Is there some sort of relationship there that I'm not aware of at first glance?
Yeah, what we like about these two projects, Stuart, is that if you look on your atlas, you'll see very clearly the position of Unkur being in the far eastern Siberian area, just above northeast China. It's ideally situated with infrastructure to get those copper products and precious metals, i.e. silver, down to those end user markets. The railway network is astoundingly well done, to be honest with you. And as I said earlier in the call, we can also export our products through the BAM right out to Vladivostok, and then we're opening up Japan and Korea, notably. On the Yukon side, we're only about 600 road kilometers from the port of Skagway, which is on the northwest coast of the Pacific. Now, again, looking at the atlas, you can easily see concentrate sales, or a cathode, but we probably would go to a concentrate sales. From there to the Asian markets are easily done. Such markets as Japan, Korea, and of course the Chinese smelter system are a very logical footprint and workable way forward. So both projects, although they're not, if you'd like, they're far away from each other, they both have the logistical location to really, really join the supply to China and other destinations in Asia.
Yeah, easy to get to those mineral-hungry, rich markets in Japan, Korea, and China from both of those locations. You know, you got a lot of really interesting stuff going on here, and of course, we only have a certain amount of time. So I'm hoping you're going to come back in a few months and give us an update on what's happening in both Russia and in the Yukon.
Thanks, Stuart. On behalf of the company, appreciate you having me on today. It was a pleasure to come. It would be a pleasure, to come back, give you an update. I would think the best time would be it's up to scheduling and everything. The later part of the third quarter or the fourth quarter this year, we'll certainly have news flow and many more things to discuss in that time period.
Oh, good. I'm keen to hear those updates. Thanks again for your time today.